limiting our total attention. We look at life in fragments. And as long as the particular totality, particular fragmentation exists, one cannot possibly see the total. If one says, I must have a certain pleasure, and I'm going to hold on to it at any price, then we will not comprehend or see the total pattern of pleasure. And we are concerned with seeing the totality of pleasure, what is involved in it. The pain, the frustration, the agony. The remorse, the ache of loneliness when all pleasure is denied. And naturally, escape from all that through various forms, which again is the continuation of pleasure. And a mind that is caught, that is conditioned by this principle of pleasure, cannot obviously see what is true, cannot think clearly, and therefore it has no passion. It translates passion as sexual or achieving some fragmentary activity and fulfillment in that fragment. So where there is no understanding of pleasure, there is only enthusiasm, sentimentality, which evokes brutality and callousness and all the rest of it. So what is pleasure? Because without understanding pleasure, there is no love. Love is not pleasure. Love is not desire. Love is not memory. And pleasure denies love. Therefore, it seems to me, it is important to understand this principle. Surely, pleasure is desire. Desire, which comes into being very naturally when you see something which gives you a stimulation, a sensation. And from that sensation there is desire. And the continuation of that desire is pleasure. And that pleasure is sustained by thought. I see something, and in that contact with it, there is a sensation. The sensation is the desire sustained by thought, because thought is the response of memory. That memory is based on other experiences of pleasure and pain, and the thought gives to that desire the sustenance, the quality of pursuit and fulfillment. One can see this in oneself very simply. If one observes, it's all there in front of you. And the quality of observation cannot be taught by another. And if you are taught how to observe, you cease to observe. Then you have merely the technique of observation, which prevents you from actually seeing yourself. For yourself is the whole of mankind, with all the aches and the miseries, with the solitude and loneliness, despair, the utter loneliness of existence, meaninglessness of it all. And when you do so observe, it unfolds endlessly, which is life itself. Then you're not dependent on anybody, on any psychologist, on any theologian, or any priest, or any dogma. Then you are looking at this movement of life which is yourself. But unfortunately, we cannot look with clarity because we are driven by this principle of pleasure. So to understand pleasure, one has to understand the structure of thinking. Because it's thought that gives continuity to pleasure. I've had a pleasure, an experience of pleasure yesterday of different kinds, and thought thinks about that pleasure. And demands its continuity. So, memory of that pleasure of yesterday is reacting, demanding that it be renewed through thought. And thought is time, thinking about the past pleasure, past gratification, yesterday's delight and enjoyment. And that thought demands its continuity now. And thought projects the tomorrow's pleasure. And thought creates the past, the present, and the future, which is time. I have had that pleasure, I am going to have it, and I shall have it. This time quality is created by thought, bread put together by thought. And thought is time, and it is time that creates fear. And without